So now it's time to look at a little bit more complex version of WebAudioXML. We take this 3 nodes, and compared to the previous tutorial, it was only one element inside the mandatory audio element. And this time it gets a little bit more complicated, but not too complicated though. So inside the audio element is one element I call chain. And chain is a bit different to the audio element. It chains all the elements inside it. So the signal, the audio signal, is actually routed from top to bottom. That means that the oscillator node is outputted and connected into the bytecode filter node. And the output of the bytecode filter node is connected to the input of the gain node. And then finally, the last element will be connected to the parent element, the chain. And the chain element is an element inside the audio element. And as I said in the previous chapter, the audio element connects and mixes all the outputs of its child elements and children elements. So that means that the output of the chain will be connected to the audio element, and the audio element is always connected to the computer's output, which means my headphones or speakers or whatever sound card you have connected to your computer. You can have as many chains as you want inside the audio element, and the important thing is just to understand that the structure of how the elements are connected varies. And there is another element that we'll talk about later as well, called mixer, but let's stick with the chain at the moment. So as I said, these elements are connected from top to bottom. So that means that this oscillator node is playing a sawtooth wave with the frequency of 220 Hertz, and that is input into the bytecode filter node with the frequency set to 500 Hertz and the type set to low pass. And because bytecode filter node is also a native web audio API node, that means that all the properties available in web audio can be set with the attributes here in XML, and also that it will be created with the default values controlled by web audio API. So I think the type, for example, will be set to low pass. If you don't set it here, it will be a low pass filter anyway. It will be a 12 decibel cutoff per octave as well. That's controlled by web audio. And I just finished off with a gain node set to 0.5, and as I pointed out in the previous chapter, the gain can always be set either using a power value or a decibel value, as I do here in the audio element. It could be worth noting that the chain element also can have its own gain, so that will control the output from the chain element before it goes into the audio element. Alright, so we can play around with this example a little bit. I think I switched off the speakers. It could be good to know a little bit about web pages and sounds and stuff. So they came up with this idea that it's not a good idea for web pages to start making sounds if the user has not asked for it. So that's why you might not hear a sound from the beginning when you try out my examples, because it waits for a click. So I added a button here. I think it's super dumb button. If you see it here in HTML, it doesn't do anything. It just attracts the user to click the button, because I resume web audio playback when I receive a click somewhere in the page. That's how it's set up for the moment. So as soon as anyone clicks anywhere actually in the web page now, the whole construction will start working, and it's waiting for that click to begin. You can bypass that restriction for specific web pages, like I did in Safari. I actually bypassed that restriction for CodePen, so I can run all my examples without having to wait for any click. So I think when I start the speaker, so we now lowered it with 10 more decibels. And if you're not used to CodePen, it works like that. You can update the values and you can hear the difference in just a few seconds when it auto updates the playground here. Also feel free to fork my project and try them out yourself. And you can sort of change the settings straight away actually without even doing that, but you can't save it if you don't have a CodePen account. Anyway, back to like -10. So I hear something. I can change the type of the oscillation. Frequency. And let's look at the backward filter. It's now set to a cutoff frequency at 500 hertz, which is why we don't hear all the harmonics of the square wave. So if I open up the filter, you hear them. And a wide open low pass. And we can have a high pass, cutting all the bass frequencies away. And there are a lot of settings you can do with the backward filter node, and please read about it in the Web Audio API specification, because WebAudioXML supports everything that Web Audio supports when it comes to backward filters. I think that's actually what we need to know from this tutorial, so join me in the next one.